Welcome to the Arsenal Show. We are live. Today, I'm going to introduce Steve and I will get a response from him. Unlike when I do my other shows and there's multiple guests, I get no reaction when I say hello. How you doing, Steve?
How you doing, Kieran? Good evening to you and good evening to everybody out there. And I hope you're having a wonderful evening.
Oh, we got more. We got more uninspected, but
yeah,
we like it. We like that better than stone cold silence and three people just staring at me like I'm a idiot. Yeah. Right. We've got plenty to discuss tonight. We've got the Newcastle recap quickly. We're going to be talking about whether Arsenal can finish the season winning the remaining games. First of all, we've got Brighton as well. It's going to be a tough one. We're going to be talking about a couple of bits of transfer news that have popped up as well. And will Mikel Arteta finally give Kieran Tierney the start he probably deserves? Steve, I've since we spoke, since we've done the player ratings, I've seen other people's player ratings, and I feel like I didn't watch the game.
Oh, did you watch it? You seen them? Yeah.
It weren't even the ones that you spoke about. This was in goal. Then I saw one on another page. I saw one in Evening Standard. And funnily enough, the players who we thought were the best got the lowest marks. I'm confused. Jorginho got like a 4.2 out of 5. Martinelli got a 4.8. I think the only one that got high marks that we said played really well was Gabriel Jesus, but that was more of a workman's thing. But look, obviously people are still hyped by the victory. I think the fact that it was Newcastle, the form they've been in, the fortress that they've made St James's Park probably played more into those player ratings there. But still an excellent win. And Steve, any more thoughts on the Newcastle game since we last spoke?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes after a game, you have time to sort of have a little bit more thought about it. I don't think it's really changed that much. It was a great win. It was a fantastic win. It was. I mean, to be honest with you, I wasn't, like a lot of people, I wasn't really that confident of going up there, and especially when the kickoff started and it seemed that they hit the post and then they got the penalty shot. You thought, you was worried. You was wondering what was going to come. But I think we'd learned. We'd learnt from last season. It was obviously drummed into them. What happened to him last season. They hadn't forgotten that. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of character about this team, and I think this one game, we've seen it a lot this season, but this game really, it really stood out. I mean, they didn't let the early pressure get to us. Players really stood up. Players like Jorginho was an excellent choice to bring in for Thomas Partey, and some people might have said, let's play Thomas Partey, give us a bit of strength in that midfield. Arteta thought that maybe we should bring Jorginho in and control the game better, and he was absolutely right. The intelligence sort of outweighed brawn, if you like, which I mean some of us might have thought a little bit different. But he came in and he was outstanding. Michael Odegaard, I was going to say Michael Odegaard.
His cousin,
Martin Odegaard, I thought was unbelievable. I think he needs to have a special mention as well tonight. We forget how old he is. We forget he's captain of Arsenal, and I don't think we realise how important he is and how much he leads that side. Because you look at him and he don't look like a leader. He don't look like someone who's going to shout and scream. But for some reason, the players, listen to him. And I don't think it's just what he does on the field. I think he really gets into them and he talks to them like a proper captain should. So, yeah, but it was a great win.
I think fellow footballers have a level of respect for different kind of footballers. Obviously, you're going to have you'll pick up a level of respect for leaders and people that you feel can motivate you and tell you when you've been bad, but also equally pick you up when you've been good and big you up there. But on another note, players equally respect football players that can play, that are of a level, higher level than them, and also can probably articulate in a way to them a bit like Mikel Arteta does. He's a very intelligent player, a very intelligent person. And even when you see his interviews, he breaks it down very simply. His interviews can come across quite boring, but everything is to the point. Breaks it down. No. Yeah. There's no fat on what he says. It's there. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. I think that his football intelligence makes people think this is someone I actually do need to listen to.
Yeah, it's funny how it's taken. I mean, I don't know how you felt, but it especially with pundits. I don't know about fans of other clubs, but especially with pundits, you talk about the respect, that you players gain as you go on. It seems to me it's taken until like the last 4 games of the season for a lot of people to finally go, yeah, Arsenal are a team, aren't they? We've seen Gary Neville recently, in his on his podcast and turn around and say, look, I got to hold my hands up. This team's special. This is a team we've got here, and we've had Rio Ferdinand come out and say, look, I've been having a go at them all season, picking on them, saying they won't do this, but I've got to hold my hands up now. And I must admit, this team is something else
because they have to. They have to now. They have to now because all season, like you said, they were poking, digging at us, get the same old tripe. It's just Arsenal. Oh yeah, but you know how they do. You know what they do. They implode. And at each point, we didn't. We got further and further in the league. Halfway point, we're still top of the league. We didn't implode. We got to the next point, and we're only talking about 3 weeks. We're talking about 3 weeks of a whole season that Arsenal had a blip. Yeah. And in that time, they lost 1 game. Yeah. But the problem was they dropped points to teams that everyone else has got points on. And that you can't do. You can't drop points to the team that's sitting bottom of the league because everyone else has got those points. And unless you're going to take teams off of one of those teams that have got all them points, i.e. Man City, then we're in the situation we are now. But back to what I was saying, they had to turn around and give us accolades now and plaudits now because we had our blip. We came at that blip, we demolished Chelsea, and then we beat Newcastle. And as I was saying, I've written down, I bet there were a lot of other fans ready for this Newcastle game, waiting not to see how we done, to dig us out when we lost or drop points again. They weren't ready for the 2-0 win. They weren't. None of them were. And that's why this Gary Neville's had to say, do you know what? This team is the real deal. Yeah. And it wasn't a dip in form.
Yeah, they didn't give you that bottle. He really didn't come out and say that we'd bottled it, did he?
He said, and I think he was fair, to be fair, because he turned around and said, Arsenal didn't have a drop in form. What was happening? Mistakes were coming in. They were second guessing themselves. There were points where they didn't just do what they would normally do and go 2-0 up and just carry on blitzing teams. They stopped and they were thinking about things. Now, these are the kind of things that when you're experienced in those moments there, what did Gabriel Jesus says? Do not change the way you play. And we changed the way we played. And that Gary Neville, and this is the first time Gary Neville has spoken sense about Arsenal all season. And it seems like it's purely because it's like there's no other option. Like he's had to hold his hands up and go, do you know what? They are the real deal.
Yeah, there's nowhere else to go now, is there?
There was nowhere else to go.
There's nowhere else to go.
And to be fair of him, to him, I think he said it in a fair way.
Yeah, he did.
Which was quite surprising.
It was, yeah. No, he did, and yeah, as you say, there's nowhere else to go now. Whatever happens now, if we win the league or lose the league, it'll be because of we've either nipped a juggernaut and beat him because of that, or we would have lost the league because of a juggernaut, as Rio Ferdinand, the words that he used. I think he nicked my word, actually. I think it was one of the words I used, the juggernaut, the other day. So I was quite surprised. When I looked at that, I thought, oi, you nicked my word. Where'd you get that from? But
it's true.
It's true. They are a juggernaut. They are. I mean, I've joked and jested on the Super Six, with Kieran and stuff. But I know what Man City are. I mean, I know what type, what we're up against. There's a lot of ifs and buts. If they didn't have Ireland this season, we'd probably be romping away with it. But you can't say that in football because they have got him. And we could say that about other players, and you can go on about that, go back in time, or if someone. So you can't do that. They have got Ireland. And you can't really go on about anything else, but yeah, I mean, it's been a great season, and it's not over yet. We're still, we'll go on to other things, the games coming up in a minute, but we're still there. And it was important that we did this Newcastle, this game on Sunday. We needed to win that. And we did, and that puts a little bit of a spoke in the work. That does keeps it going.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what we didn't want now is after a great season, we didn't want with 3 games left to just be like, no, it is actually over. We can't win it. Man City have won it. We're taking it down to what might go to the last 2 games of the season.
Yeah.
And this is what we're talking about. You have to keep going. You have to, and this is good. This is good practice for the players going forward as well. They know that they can't drop off. They know they have to take it to the end of the season. They will learn from those games where they probably changed the way they played, changed their mentality, did different things in preparation. Maybe didn't follow through with the game plan. Like they will take that and better themselves. They did it the season before where they had that blip. We came back this season. We've not had the same blip that we did last season. We lost 3 games in the final, or 3 or 4 games at the final, like 8. This time we lost 1 to Man City. So yeah, we are progressing. We are learning from our mistakes.
We never played bad against Southampton or West Ham. We played well against them. We didn't play bad. There was we let them back in the game, or at the beginning of the game we wasn't on it. But, for most parts, we was the Arsenal that we've come to be used to the whole season in those 2 games. It was just moments in those 2 games where, like you said, we, for some reason, stopped or changed our way of playing. But as you say, we'll learn from that. Whether we win or lose the league this season, we'll learn from that. And this team, especially if you're sort of gauging last season's performances when we've gone to Liverpool, when we've gone to Newcastle, when we've played Spurs, with this squad of players have gone to those grounds this season and done the business. So you'll think, well, if they've done the business this season, they're going to learn from their mistakes. Sorry, if they've done the business from last season and learn from their mistakes, the mistakes that they've made this season, they'll just get over them next season as well. So I think we're going to be even stronger because of just for that reason. Because of that reason.
Yeah, it's all a learning game, and what the players are doing is they're taking in the advice from Mikel Arteta. They're taking in when they've had a drop in form or a bad result. They're taking that in. So
absolutely.
Would you say that? As I was saying before, there were probably a lot of fans, rival fans, watching a game, waiting for us to lose. Would you say that the game on Sunday was a bit of a statement win.
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, we've all known all season what they're capable of, but from what we're hearing from other fans who don't watch us every week, they seem to think that they just pick up on the bits where we haven't been as good in games as others. But yeah, I think I think it was a statement win. I think everybody's looks up now. I think I don't think you can't. There's not many. You still see a few people on Twitter and on social media, but look, that's just like clickbait now. Some of the stuff's laughable. I see something the other day about Arteta getting the sack because he ain't won the league. And,
I do wonder with some of them people if they're actually the full picnic.
Did you see it? Did you see that?
No. But I've seen a few of them.
I don't know why they do it. I can't.
I'm not sure whether they're even Arsenal fans. If I'm honest,
well, I tell you, I mean, I haven't never watched. I'll tell you a lie. I watched them in the like when I probably first started watching YouTube's programs, like about 4 or 5 years ago. And that was from Lee Gunner, who I watched a couple of times. Thought he was a dickhead from day one, and. Yeah, he said yesterday that he felt Arteta should be sacked, and I just
no way did he?
Yeah, he did. Only because I don't get me wrong, I never listened to it. I wouldn't give him the time of day to click on it to listen to what he said. I just see it writ, and it was like
he's talking out of he's waffling.
No, he's on drugs, mate. The geezer's a drug addict.
He ain't all there. If he's saying that Mikel Arteta should get the sack. Should get the sack for not winning the league. Genuine. You're not serious. You're not serious.
Yeah, no. This is what I don't get. This. We're going off sort of off piste a little bit, but I just don't understand how these people can live with themselves. They must know what they're doing. I mean, do they like looking like an idiot? I mean, I don't. They must know they're doing it. I mean, I can't imagine me or you going out there just for just for clicks or people to click on whatever I'm doing to make something up ridiculous. I can't do that. I can't go like that. It's the same with transfers. I can't put things up on my page that's wrong.
Yeah.
Or even I can't even quote someone that I feel is wrong. I find that difficult. I've probably done it in the past. I'm not saying I haven't, but I find that very difficult. I don't live in that world. It's not me. I've not been brought up that way. But back to Arsenal. Yeah, I think it was a great a statement win. The only team that's beaten Newcastle there this season is Liverpool, and you can see why. But we got to them. I think we were probably one of the only teams that's gone to St James. I mean, it seemed like after that 20 minutes, we just quietened the crowd down. And to go to St James's Park,
we did.
I was and all I could hear was our fans up in the gods singing, and I was like, wow, that's something. It took a while, about 20, 25 minutes. I mean, that on its own is an achievement to do that, because they're unreal. We take the mickey out of Newcastle fans. But they are unreal. They're a great bunch of lads. I've watched a few of their podcasts, and they're quite, they're quite knowledgeable actually.
Yeah, no, they are, and they're good. They're good fun. Newcastle fans. I've got a lot of time for Newcastle. I don't mind them being where they are. They're a team that was always a pretty big team. When I first started watching the Premier League, they were in and about it. They had some serious players: Peter Beardsley, Les Ferdinand, Tino Asprilla, David Ginola, like they had Alan Shearer. They had a really good team. Brawl Fox, like they had a solid team. So they've always been, for me, when I was growing up, they've always been a club that were in and around Champions League, Europa League. Like they were in about it, and then they dropped off. They just dropped off.
I'm glad to see him back. I mean, and they didn't. And when these owners came in, they didn't come in and sort of like buy everybody up. No. They've done it in a good way.
Yeah.
And I admire that. I admire that a lot. It's not like, what Man City have done and Chelsea. As soon as they got new owners, it was like, they went crazy, right at the beginning. But Newcastle didn't do that. They might do it next year, but we'll see. But no, I've got a lot of time. I mean, a few of them moaned about the time wasting, but then again,
I didn't get that. It's like they were doing that in the first game, in the game at their ground last season.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it was. I mean, I hated it when they did it at the Emirates. I didn't like it at all. I think I come on here and I was,
But that would be a reason why we would have done it. We've learned if you can't beat them, join them.
I enjoyed it doing it. I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. But we were, as I said, like Mikel Arteta said in the press conference when he was asked about the time waste, and he said, "I don't even really want to talk about it." And the difference is as well, we were 2-0 up. We had something to hold on to, and people do that, and every team does that. You go 2-0 up,
what you meant to do, keep on attacking.
Time. I mean, they did it at 0-0 after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So different.
It was massively different. One player that came on and did really well when he came on was Kieran Tierney. Zinchenko's not been in the best form over the last few weeks. Do you think it's time to bring Kieran Tierney into the first team?
Yeah, look, I mean, I've had a thought about this, and we've spoke about it quite a few times now, haven't we? On previous shows and on post matches, and I feel it is. The sentiments there with Zinchenko, because I love him and I know what he's done and I know what he brings, and what he can give us in a game. But I also know what Kieran Tierney can give us in the game. So I've got to try and weigh up the two and think, okay, Tierney will play. He'll shore us up at the defence. He'll still get forward a bit. And he definitely is better defensively. That's I think that there's no doubt about that. But Zinchenko does give us that different outlet going forward. He's better on the ball. He's a better passer. So weighing the two up on which one I would rather have. So I look at the opposition. So I look at that we've got Brighton. I look at they've got quick players like Solly March is dangerous. You've got Matoma is dangerous. They've got quick players who can catch you on the break. Now, Zinchenko seems to get caught at times when we go on the break. Where Tierney's more switched on and he's more defensive. So I think we might need that more against Brighton than this time round, because it's no use just beating Newcastle, going up there and then get drawing or losing against Brighton the weekend. So for me, Tierney comes in because he'll give me that little bit more. Assurance, it'll make me feel a little bit more comfortable, because literally Zinchenko has been very sloppy recently. So, yeah, I'd bring him in.
Yeah, it does feel like it's about time. Kieran Tierney's been very patient. He's been an absolute model professional. And as I said many a time, I think Mikel Arteta has to find the right balance with this squad. We're going to have a lot more games next season. Hopefully we get further in trophies and cups. Because that's where we can sort of alleviate some of the pressure of playing some of these players on the fringes in the first team. As we go on, we're going to have to be bringing in players where the levels do not drop off anywhere near as much as what they might do now. But then Mikel Arteta has to have trust in the players that he brings in. And the players that are in his squad. Otherwise, it's what is a very good atmosphere around the squad at the moment can start to wane if there's a few players in the team that aren't playing and they want to be playing and they feel like they should be playing as well.
Yeah, it was easy deception, wasn't it, Sunday? Kieran Tierney's, led to the goal. He cut the ball out, he cut the through ball, he read it, come in and passed it through to Martinelli, who went up and, did what he did. So,
but he done that in another game earlier this season, not even only this season, well, a few games back where he came on as a sub and he got an assist.
Yeah, I think it was against Leeds. I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, he looked like you said. I think he said the other day. He come and he looked quite pissed off, and he did against Leeds, and he got the assist, and everyone ran over to him. So he's really liked in the squad. You can tell. Yeah, everyone loves KT. And I think it's time to show him some love, Mikel. Because
I think so.
I don't want to lose him. I think I think he could be very valuable in different types of games, especially in the Champions League. And when you hear about the clubs that are potentially sniffing around him, then you definitely know that you shouldn't be getting rid of him.
Because you've got to go and buy somebody, so it doesn't make any sense. You can't, you get rid of him, so you've got to go and buy another left back.
Yeah.
Okay, you got Tommy Ashu, but he's not a left back really. He's more of a right back, centre back type of player. He can do a job, but Tierney would be a no brainer. And Tavares, I don't, he'll probably get sold on. So. Yeah, it don't make sense to me selling Kieran Tierney. This doesn't.
Yeah, no, it does not make sense either. Let's get on to a bit of transfer news. Latest one I know Steve was probably running around asking the questions about. Granit Xhaka is attracting interest from Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah.
Heard much on that one, Steve?
Well, we see today come out from Sky Germany, didn't it? That Bayer Leverkusen have got a package together to go to Granit Xhaka to try and buy him. They do want him. There's no doubt about that. But there's probably a load of other teams that wants Granit Xhaka as well. Not just Bayer Leverkusen. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, there's nothing really in it from what I'm hearing. It certainly won't be nothing. From what I'm hearing, nothing will happen this summer, if at all. I mean, Bayer Leverkusen at the moment, they're sitting 6th in the Bundesliga. They're, don't know whether they're going to be playing Europa League football next year or they're going to be playing Conference League football next year. Granit Xhaka is going to be playing in the Champions year for Arsenal, probably starting every single game against Barcelona's, Real Madrid's, Milan's, and he ain't going to pick up and go and play in the Conference League in the Bundesliga for teams sitting 6th in the league.
Exactly.
It's just not happening.
Exactly.
Sometimes people just got to stop and think. Get into the brain of the player. He's not mad.
I also think they've taken quotes from him saying that he would like to go back to the Bundesliga eventually. They've pulled up them quotes from about a year ago, thrown this in with this story, and been able to make up a story. But like you said, Bayer Leverkusen are struggling to even get into Europe this season. So Granit Xhaka leaving a Champions League team and a team that are also going for the league next season and this season for a team that have not gone for the league in the Bundesliga for about 10 years would be a ludicrous signing.
There's nothing with any sense that makes any sense at all about it whatsoever. I mean, I'm sure Granit Xhaka is also one of these type of players who would, even if Arsenal did bring in Rice and Caicedo or whatever, you need a squad to go on and to fight on all fronts. You need big players, So to get rid of, people, I've seen people say, well, if we bring Rice in and bring Caicedo in, then we can get rid of Xhaka. No, we can't. We can't. It doesn't. It don't work like that. Xhaka's massively important. They can't do what Xhaka does.
But it also doesn't make sense. Because if you're talking about Rice, you'd probably say he's a like-for-like for Partey. Yes, he can play in a Xhaka position as well, but it's probably not the first choice position. Caicedo would be coming in as probably the more likely, which is the like-for-like for Xhaka. But you wouldn't start Caicedo now. You wouldn't start Caicedo over Xhaka.
No, but even if you did, sorry, mate.
Because Xhaka's been better this season, and yes, you can say that Caicedo's in a worse squad, but Brighton have been excellent. And he's just not there yet. Caicedo's a very good player. He's got a very high bar. I expect him to be a very good player in years to come. But he's not the finished article. He's got a way to go. So yeah, it wouldn't be a case of him coming in and slotting in straight away. Anyway,
yeah, I mean exactly. He's only young, Caicedo. 21. Is he still 21, 22 or something?
He's 21. He's 21. No, 20. He was 21 in November. So yeah.
I mean, you, Mikel Arteta. Could Caicedo and Rice do what Xhaka did against Newcastle away at St James's Park under that type of pressure in a must-win football match? The guy was immense. He was unreal.
Well,
that tackle he did when that block he run back and he put on the burners from the halfway line and just run. You just watch him run. He just keeps on running and eventually slides in to block that certain goal. It was. That's. Do you think Arteta's sitting back at the Colney or back at the ground thinking, I don't want him next season? And even if you did, say if you did bring Caicedo and Rice and they started, say if that was the scenario, and one of them gets injured, then who comes in? Lokonga, Elneny.
And that's the thing. You need to be swapping your Lokongas for your Caicedos, your Elneny's for your Rice. So you've now got a nucleus of a midfield, which doesn't matter what combinations you're playing. You've got Xhaka, Partey, Jorginho, Rice, Caicedo.
Yeah.
For your midfield.
Because that's what City have.
Yeah. Exactly what City have. Exactly what City
they
have.
They have Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, Rodri. And their worst one's Phillips, who don't get much of a game. So they have 4 or 5, who play in who they can choose from.
Yeah.
So and that's what you need. You've got to have those players. You can't go it's not like Europa League where you can. Oh, okay, it's the Europa League. Let's stick Vieira in the number 8, or like that. I mean, to be honest with you, he's the one I worry about. To be honest with you, mate, I must admit, I do. I'm starting to worry a bit about Vieira. I'm starting to wonder if he really is. Really is. Can we rely on him in a Champions League game if need be, or a big game like at St James's? I hope we can. Obviously, I'm willing to give him another year, but he's not really proved to me this season that he's got what we thought he had when he was in Portugal. I haven't seen it yet. I know what he's capable of, but we need to see it.
Yeah, no. We will hopefully see that going forward in next season as well. But yeah, he does need to up his level. More transfer news that is doing the rounds again. Caicedo. Apparently, Caicedo has a clause in his contract in a new deal, thanks to a new deal. Arsenal wanted Moses Caicedo in January, but were rebuffed by Brighton. The Stars since signed a new deal, which will enable him to move in the summer. Arsenal have been dealt a fresh hope for their long-standing bid for Moses Caicedo of Brighton and Hove Albion. The Gunners launched a late move in January for the Ecuadorian.
Where's that come from?
The Athletic.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's got to be true then. I don't know how I missed the release clause, but the one thing I do know, everything was done with Caicedo in January. It was done. Personal terms was done. Everything was agreed. Caicedo was coming to Arsenal. It was just a matter of right now. We're sitting down with Tony Bloom. They sat down with him, and they wanted 90 million. And they wanted him to stay because they were in a situation where they wanted to go and get into Europe for the first time in their history. So there was no way they was going to let him go. So eventually Arsenal just never went over 70 million. But there ain't a lot more talking to do regarding Arsenal and Caicedo. You know, there's not a lot more to say apart from this is what we're going to offer you. And to be fair, they know, they must know what they will take. So having that release clause, I don't know. It can work two ways. I mean, there can be a deal already done behind the scenes, you know, that's been done in January. That's you know, though, and they've just agreed to Caicedo to play for the rest of the season at Brighton. I know another reason why he had a new contract was because he was promised new wages, so he had to do a new contract anyway. So I know that was part of it. Yeah, I mean the release clause. Yeah, but then again, you know, with there being a release clause, people they don't have to. People can go over and pay more than the release clause. Do you know what I mean?
So I can't see the actual release clause, but he did sign a new contract.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
he signed a new contract in February, which says to me there's got to be something in that contract that must have allowed. Why would you sign a new contract? He only signed last season.
He signed a new contract because he was promised new wages. That was the reason why. So they had to do a new contract to put his wages up, basically.
Yeah, with an option for an extra year.
Yeah, because it wasn't written into his old contract, the wages. So they had to do one. They had to do a new one to change it because he was promised.
Yeah,
you know. So that was the reason why that is. But release clause. They could, you know. Other teams are going to be after him. That's the only thing. You know, I don't think Arsenal ain't going to be the only team. But hopefully there's been something agreed beforehand. As I said, there's not a lot of work to do regarding talks.
How much would you pay for Caicedo? How much do you think is a fair price? He's currently valued at 55 million.
Well, they're not going to say. And I think Arsenal. It was a fair offer, 70. I think it was a fair offer, 70.
Do you think it was just because it was January they didn't sell?
Yeah,
it was too early in the season. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I do. I think it was because of January and they just wasn't, you know, didn't want to sell. Because if you remember, Caicedo was really, well, he never turned up for training, did he? He went on strike, didn't he? Caicedo, because he couldn't come to Arsenal because they said you can't go to Arsenal. And we're not letting you go yet. So that tells me, Kieran, that's nothing to do with the actual money.
Yeah,
you know that you know the fact that it must have been more to do with, look, we need you here, we need you back at training.
To lose you right now.
We can't let you go now. So let's put you on your new contract. Let's give you that new wages we promised you. Let's sign that right away, which is what they did in February. And so therefore play that out. And he's been fantastic for Brighton, you know, since he's come back. He got his head down, which is a good sign, on the basis that he could leave in the summer. And I'm pretty sure he will. He's been pretty adamant that in his head he's not shy coming forward when he talks. You know, he's mentioned a few times that, you know, he wants to play for a big club. He wants to play in the Champions League. He's mentioned Arsenal many a time and his admiration for Arteta. And he's also had he mentioned Real Madrid as well. But obviously he's not going there now because Jude Bellingham is. So, it all points to Arsenal. You know, let's hope we get both. You know, let's hope we get Rice and Caicedo. But it's going to be tough to get them both. It's going to be difficult to get them both because everybody wants a midfield player this summer. Everybody's after them.
And Declan Rice been linked with Liverpool as well. But if Arsenal were to get Declan Rice, I mean, that would elevate the squad massively.
Yeah, the teams that I've been told, right, are Newcastle and who's the other one? Manchester United. I had a conversation today, funny enough, and Chelsea and Man City wasn't even mentioned. They weren't even mentioned. So that was interesting.
Who was it mentioned? Sorry,
Chelsea.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
And Manchester City wasn't mentioned.
Good.
Newcastle and Manchester United And the worry with those two is that Newcastle could probably pay more money if they wanted to than Arsenal, and they probably could guarantee him a start, like Manchester United. Could Arsenal guarantee him a start? Probably, I don't know, maybe not. But I think he'd walk into them two teams. But so, that worried me a little bit. But yeah, it'd be interesting.
But if you're Declan Rice, what are you looking at?
If I'm Declan Rice, I'm looking at, for him, knowing Declan Rice, well, not knowing Declan Rice, but knowing what I'm hearing about Declan Rice is that he wants to stay in London. He wants to play in Champions League football. So it just leads you to one place.
Yeah.
There's no other place.
How much would you be willing? How much do you think is a fair price for Declan Rice? Because we started off at about 80, it's gone up to 100, and now there's talk of 120.
I don't. Arsenal won't pay 120.
Yeah,
never in a million years. If it's 120, then they won't. They won't pay it. I think Caicedo and Declan Rice for 80 million for the pair would be right for the both of them. I think we'd get. I think it's a fair enough price. I mean, West Ham, you can't blame them for wanting to get as much as they can, because it's not often they get like an asset like Declan Rice. They won't get another one probably for the next 10 years, maybe never. So you can't blame them for wanting them to get what they can. But I would say 80. There's a lot of rumours about our Arsenal, like, they're going for centre-backs. I'm told that you got to take that with a little bit of a pinch of salt, really, centre-backs. Yeah. Because, again, as we were saying with Granit Xhaka just a little while ago, you just got to think. We're looking. There's all this thing about right-sided centre back. We've been linked with Mark Gay, and we've been linked with Edwin Sober.
They were talking about 50 mil for Mark Gay, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And again, well, that's Chelsea for you, But but again, let's think about this. Like, logically, Arsenal have got William Saliba, who's the main right-sided centre back. Then you've got, listen to this, Arsenal fans that are watching, and and just when you hear these massive players we're going to buy at centre back, maybe this will, help you along in what actually is going to happen. We're looking. You've got Ben White, who can play right-sided centre back. You've got Tommy Asher, who can play right-sided centre back. You've got Kieran, who can play right-sided centre back. You've got Holding, who can play right-sided centre back. You've got a young kid called Raul Walters, who's just been brought into the Arsenal squad, who can play right-side centre back. You're not going to go and buy a £50 million player, right, to sit on the bench, right, as a right-sided centre back. It's not going to happen. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. If we need someone and we was desperate, and if Tommy Ashley was fit, Tommy Ashley would be playing right back, and Ben White would be right-sided centre back.
Yeah.
But then you still got Kior, you still got Holding behind. So, and Kior looks to be the real deal. So we're not spending all that money on a right-sided centre back. It just doesn't make. Again, it just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I totally forgot he was at Chelsea. They're in trouble. They've got players out on loan, which they're not going to be able to get off the books because they want 50 million for it. They're going to have to cut their losses on some players. Not cut losses, but they're going to have to take smaller fees because everyone knows they have to sell players. They're in trouble. Russ, you can ask the question, but you honestly, the question's so lopsided. Like, would you take Caicedo and Rice if it meant selling Xhaka? But you're talking about... But, Steve, you're talking about two players for one. That's madness.
But that's not going to happen, is it?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Your question is so loaded, Russ. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said, but why sell? question to you, and he said, I'll ask the questions. But the question is so loaded. It's like, would you take one of the best midfielders in the league right now and one of the best up-and-coming midfielders for your one of your best midfielders for 2 for 1? Like, take 2, sell 1, buy Xhaka back, and you still got change. Like, the question's too loaded, Ross.
I think Xhaka just gives you something different. I think the question and what Russ has put there, and it's a great question for a debate, if you like. You can easily get a good debate there after it. But when you look at the players that Rice and Caicedo are, I mean, I know I'm a big Xhaka fan, and everybody knows that, but I think everybody's a big Xhaka fan now. But I would rather. I think if you was looking at that type of scenario, instead of having Xhaka there, you should have Partey there, because that fits into the dynamic better. Because Xhaka's a different animal. Rice and Caicedo not really can do what Xhaka does. He's like an old-fashioned. He's been there, done it, got the T-shirt. That's worth so much to Arsenal next season. Going forwards. I don't. It's priceless. Those type of things. Yeah. I mean, what did Russ do? Would he sell? Would you take that? I don't know. But
Russ, it's time for you to answer the questions. He's put it a different way. Okay, let me put it another way. If Rice, I mean, you've kind of answered that one, Steve. To be fair, if Rice and Caicedo are both bought, do they go straight into the start 11? I don't think. I don't think they do. I do think that Rice has a bit more of a rotation and probably has a bit more of a start. But I don't think Caicedo goes straight into the team. I think Caicedo's probably there to be more of a swap for Xhaka, and I don't think he goes into the team straight away. And Rice, I'd say, is probably more of a swap for Partey. Does he go straight into the team? I don't know. It all depends, doesn't it?
Caicedo is mega versatile. I will say that. He's unreal. Yeah. Right back the other day against whoever it was. He was outstanding.
Did he?
I don't know who it was against. Russ might know, but he played right back. I don't know who it was against. I can't remember now. He played right back. Someone might be mine, but he played right back, and he was unreal. He was absolutely unreal. So that must be another thing to think of. Like, again, sometimes if you're short or White's injured or Tomiyasu, you stick in Caicedo there all day long. He was unreal. He was excellent. Looked like he played all his life.
Versatility is the name of the game these days. So yeah, Russ, don't forget. Don't think I'm going to forget that you haven't answered the question. Get your answers in, Russ. All right. So Kane and Caicedo, Rice and Caicedo, hopefully,
we'll take Kane.
Squad.
I'll take Kane.
I've done a video about Kane. I can't deal with this Kane loving right now. Kane, the first season, he's not top goal scorer. People are getting upset that people are bigging up Erling Haaland too much, and they're saying that Kane deserves his flowers. I'm like,
I thought he was a Kane fan.
Relax.
I thought he was a Kane fan.
I do like Harry Kane, yeah, but it's like Erling Haaland is currently breaking records that players who took 4 or 5 seasons to be in the Prem to even get close to. When we're talking about Alan Shearer breaking records, Cristiano Ronaldo breaking records. I think it was like one of the final seasons that he was here where he smashed records and he scored like 40 or 50 goals in all competitions. But that took 3 or 4 or 5 years of playing in the Premier League to do. Haaland's done it in his first year. And people are so quick to say, well, if Kane was in this team, he'd do the same thing. Get out! Because Kane doesn't have the cojones to leave Tottenham and go into this team. He had the opportunities to go into these teams and he ain't gone into this team. Why are we talking about Harry Kane?
Kane's not a freak of nature.
He's not. He's not.
People may laugh or people might not agree, but Haaland's build is partly the reason why he's scoring all these goals, because he's just so awkward to mark and so awkward to play against.
100%.
There's nobody of that size and who looks like that and who's a centre forward. So people just don't know what to do with him.
And people say, go on.
No, that was it, mate. Yeah, just they don't know what to do.
People say that Kane would score the same amount of goals as Haaland did if he was in this team, but they're different players. They are different players. You say that Pep would say he needs to hang around the box and he'd score more goals. Okay, he may do, but Kane is not as aggressive and a bully as much as what Haaland is. Kane uses his wit, his intelligence when it's getting a bit too rough to win fouls. Whereas Haaland grits his teeth, looks the opponent in the eye and says, "This is what I wanted. This is what I wake up for." He looks you in the eye and he says, "Come on, I want more of this." Like, he is a savage.
Yeah. No, Benny Blanco wanted him though against City. He was like, after the game, he was like, "Come on, then." He was going, everyone was holding him back, and Haaland was trying to get to him, and White was trying to get to him. But yeah, look, he's a freak of nature. He'll probably win Player of the Year, easily. He wouldn't be my Player of the Year, by the way. But I would, Player of the Year. There's a reason it says the Player of the Year. So I look at it as more of an all-round thing. I mean, the unreal goal scorer of the year, an absolute freak of nature, he would win that award, that's for sure. But it just goes back to like Arsenal and how far they cut. I mean, to be where they are, Arsenal right now, and for them to have him score that amount of goals, and they're still going, and Arsenal and Man City is still thinking, bloody hell. Do you know what I mean? They ain't going away, are they? They won't. Just gone up to Newcastle. We think they are. They think we've just gone to Man City. They've gone up there. We've schooled them. We hammered them, thrashed them off the planet. They're done there. And then they go up to Newcastle and just absolutely do the business. So, and with this like you said, this freak of nature up front who's come first season scoring this ridiculous amount of goals. I mean, God knows what he's going to end up scoring. But he is something special. He is special.
He is. Russ has answered. He said, "I wouldn't sell Xhaka, but if you're looking to spend around 150 million pounds on your midfield, surely those guys have to start. I see more of a chance of Partey leaving than Xhaka."
I do. I would. I would agree. Actually,
I don't think it's the case that just because they came in for 150 million, they should start. I don't think Mikel Arteta plays it that way. Like I completely get if you've got players who maybe aren't in form or you've seen them in training, but I don't think it's a case of that was your price tag, you go into the team. I don't see it that way. Because I don't think the price tag relates to how good the player actually is. The price tag is the value of what the other team think he's worth. That doesn't necessarily equate to what his actual value is. Like, Haaland got bought for 50 million. He's a 150 million pound player easily.
All day long. Yeah.
So it doesn't always match. And Caicedo for start off the bat, no, he doesn't start. No. He doesn't start.
No.
Rice, I think there may be an argument, but again, it's a case of how they fit. Do they come into training? And I think all those things all those boxes have to be ticked before we go. Yeah, he starts. I don't think it's just a case of.
So where would Rice?
That's the price tag we paid. He starts.
Rice is a Partey replacement, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, but Rice can also play more forward as well. As you've seen in the England team when he plays with Phillips, you'll say that Phillips is more of the DM.
Against Man United, he was like that. He was like unstoppable, weren't he? He was like. Yeah.
I think I think there's still a lot. Like I do see Rice as a centre mid long term, not a defensive mid, not an attacking mid, the centre mid, like the old school centre mid. Because you watch when he plays and he goes forward, I still think he's got a lot to learn going forward. He's not as fluid as he is, or doesn't look as comfortable as he does when he's sitting in or being in that midfield role, or being that player that just wants to get the ball and then go pop, pop, I'm here again, a pop, pop, spray, spray. That's when he's unbelievable. When I see him going forward, I see there are a few chinks in his armour. He's not as relaxed. He seems a bit stiff when he's moving forward, but it just comes with confidence. It comes with time. Get him under Mikel Arteta's wing, and 100% he'll become a better player. I have no doubts about that. Let's quickly get on to the preview of the Brighton game. Steve, Brighton, did you take much from Brighton getting spanked by Everton the other day?
Not really. First thing I thought of, they're going to be up for Sunday.
I thought the opposite. I thought this is an opportunity to look. You've seen what Sean Dyche done. He came out afterwards and said they're a very open team, and with those times, if you break up their play in midfield and you hit them on the break, they are wide open, and he's 100% right.
Yeah, that should suit us, shouldn't it? You know, they come at us. They can't. If they sit back, they're not the type of. I think we could break them down very easily both ways. To be quite truthful. But so the only thing is that the manager's going to be in it and says you better not play like that at the Emirates. You know, because that was an embarrassment. That was really. I mean, 5-1. My mind was going all over the place really because firstly I was thinking that. Well, Brighton, how are they going to be the weekend? Like you just said now, are we going to be able to take advantage? Now that they've put their foot off the gas, have they accepted where they are this season? Caicedo's going to leave, McAllister's going to leave, maybe Matomo's going to leave. Maybe they know all this is happening, so they're starting to slow down a little bit. Big pitch at the Emirates. We could take them, and then I'm going up to Everton. Have Everton peak too early. They got Man City the weekend. My mind's going back and forth. But we've got to be confident. I mean, it looks like we're coming back into another good, rich vein of form again.
Yeah.
The way we dealt with Chelsea.
Yeah.
The different type of performance against Newcastle, but again, the way we played against Newcastle, the way we stood up and dealt with them. And then to say, it was 2-0, and fair enough, they could have had a few goals, but we could have had 3 as well, another 3 on top of the ones we scored. But I can't. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. I just want us we just got to keep Man City being honest. Do you know what I mean? We've given them something to worry about now. They're not going to be comfortable. On that plane over to Zabrid tonight, the league will be on their mind. It's impossible. Like Gary Neville said, they're human beings. It's there. Don't you worry about it. He said, I've been in these situations, where we've had to go and play in Champions League games, and you're thinking about the game the weekend because the team behind you're starting to pick up form. He said, it's in your head, and it'll be in Manchester City's head, and it'll be in Pep Guardiola's head. And they've got hard games to come up. And it's, we've put ourselves in a position there where you're thinking they could slip up. They haven't looked really good against Leeds. They didn't look really good against Fulham. And we've dealt with Chelsea and Newcastle. So it's all to play for.
The only thing is they've got Frank Lampard's Chelsea after Everton. So if they do drop points, don't worry, they'll be getting back against Chelsea. He will not be doing this. No, there is no. I don't know when it comes to Frank Lampard and Chelsea.
But even then, the 2 away games after it. I mean, Brighton and Brentford. It's not easy. They're not easy games.
Yeah.
They didn't. I mean, they might be going in. As you said, we. I spoke to Kevin and he said that we look nervous against Leeds and Fulham. So maybe there's a bit of nerves setting in. You don't know.
Yeah, there is. And not being funny, in the first half against West Ham, it was 0-0, but West Ham had quite a few players out at that time. It's just, we just need to make sure that we continue to get the 3 points that we need to do and then leave everything to everyone else.
Yeah.
Look, the target for me is to get that 90 points. 90 points is an excellent season. I don't care what anyone says. You want to talk about Carabao Cup and scraping top 4. You want to talk about the biggest capitulation in Premier League history. You were 12 points ahead of Liverpool. Liverpool weren't even about it this year. We were talking about Liverpool not even getting into Europe, and now they could potentially be snatching the Champions League off Man United. Like, it's crazy how people are so ready to sharpen the knives. Then they're not looking at their own team. They're so distracted by what Arsenal are doing that they are not even looking at their own team. Tottenham fans out here talking about just you wait, while you're getting your ass handed to you by Newcastle, while you're getting beat by Bournemouth, while you're getting beat by Liverpool last minute. Richarlison's taken off his shirt 4 times and he's scored 1 goal, 3 disallowed goals. You'd think he'd stop. Relax yourself.
You made a good point when you said, like, we're 20 points to anybody who's even thought about had a chance of winning the league this year. You know,
like last night, Nathan and Alex are laughing. Yeah, but it's like you're 20 points behind Arsenal. Like, that's a gap. That's not some this is a one season wonder. That's a significant gap. You have a worse squad than us kind of gap. That's a serious gap. It's not a few points. It's not even like 8 points. And like you said, it's a one-off season. 20 points. That's not a small difference. 20 points, people.
Yeah.
20 points. I've not even looked at the other teams like Tottenham. Chelsea fans ain't even bothering. Chelsea fans are not even bothering.
They're
not even bothering, which is good. Yeah. They're eating humble pie and they're keeping quiet. That's how you should do it. Take note of Chelsea fans keeping quiet while they're sitting halfway down the table.
Yeah. But we just got to go and beat Brighton, and I think we will. And I mean, it's just so. If Everton can get something, out of Man City like they're playing before us. If only they can. If they can just get a draw. If we beat Brighton and Everton get something out of Man City, after watching them the last 2 games, I'll tell you what. At the moment, it's still in City's hand, but I think one slip up, we could take advantage. I'm telling you.
Yeah, look,
you got to look positive now. We've had a great season. There's only one way to look forward now, and that's being positive.
100%.
Yeah,
100%, 100%, and that it's why I said at the start of the season, halfway through the season, and kept on reminding people to enjoy the season because I've enjoyed it. I can imagine if you were sitting there scrutinising things, picking holes in the drawers, talking about it's done after, because people were talking about it's done after the Everton loss. It's done. City going to catch us now. It's done. If I had that mentality then, this would have been, I would not have enjoyed most this season. I've enjoyed the first part, but the second part would have been a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, we've taken them to the wire, haven't we? As good as. We've taken the best team on the planet to the wire.
And we've set ourselves up for next season, which is most important thing as well.
What more can you say? It's got to be something.
We've set ourselves up, isn't it, now? For Champions League, bringing in better players.
Yeah.
Like, the mentality that we've got off, the youngsters have got off this season, getting to 90 points potentially, and taking on Man City, who have a much more experienced and better squad than us. The confidence will be absolutely flowing out of this team. They will take on next season and say, we can win this league. We are going to win this league. And that's the mentality. I feel like this team is going to go more and more each year.
And one thing I will say with Man City before we go, one thing I will say is that Arsenal have really just got to add to the squad. They haven't got. I mean, we've been talking about Caicedo and Rice come in. A lot of people are saying, "Well, who are we selling in? Who's going?" No one's got to go. Nobody's got to go. We've got a small squad. Yes, we've got to add. Partey's got to stay. Xhaka's got to stay. Caicedo and Rice are coming. That's the plan. that's the plan. Not selling one of them.
Off someone, and you have the other one in the season that you're potentially thinking about. Okay, this is the settling season for the new player. The following season, is this a season ready to sell that older player? No, actually, it's probably too early. Let's keep another season and we're selling. Like, that's how you got to do it. Arsenal's problem started years ago when they tried to downgrade the squad on numbers. They lost Perez, they lost Edu. They didn't replace him. And I'm talking about body for body. Because you can say that we got in Seth Fabregas was the replacement for Vieira, but you didn't get in replacements for the other players. So he was always down a player. And when he was bringing in a player, it was always, oh, yeah, we're bringing a youth player. Oh, yeah, a player's got to come through the youth rank. You've got to have the balance there. You've got to have an older head who's more experienced and a better player than a youth player. We didn't have that at Arsenal in the end. We started to swap our youth players for older players. And it was like, I can see what you're doing, but like we need experience right now, and I'm hoping we learnt from that. We've got some very good international top class players in our team, some of the best in the league.
And we're forgetting about Jorginho, haven't we? We keep forgetting about
Jorginho. Jorginho signed a 2-year deal. He's here for the 2 years minimum. He's the kind of player that I'd happily keep for another year if he's still got the legs. Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, and what's good about Jorginho, he loves it at Arsenal. He's happy to come on when
he seems happy already, don't he?
He
seems very happy already. I'm seeing a lot of like jokes and videos that he's making where he's having a laugh as well, which is really good.
The best one was the Jesus one. I mean, I continuously keep watching that one back. You know, and who would have thought Jesus ain't passed his driving test? And that was it. That was great when he just caught it just right. With Jorginho was coming past in the car park in his car, and he's in a learner car coming the other way, Jesus. And Jorginho rewinds his window down, and goes, "Is that you in there?" And the window goes down, and Jesus is in there, his thumbs up, going, "Hey."
I bet Mikel Arteta says, "You need to get your license. You need to get your license."
And Jorginho's absolutely in hysterics.
Yeah, so would I be. So would I be. 27-year-old man ain't passed his driving lesson. Come on, boy. Sort it out. All right, that is all we have time for. Thank you for everyone who joined in today. Thank you for joining us, Russ. Appreciate your comments in there. Very, very good. Thank you for joining us tonight, Steve. Okay, Steve is completely ignoring me, and he's cloned himself, and what more could you want than two Steves? It's too much. It's too much. Thanks for joining us tonight, Steve.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
And thank you for everyone else who's joined us tonight. If you are new to the show, press that like and press that subscribe button. Press that share button as well. You only have to press the copy button. If you are a regular, press that copy button and press that like. Get in the comment section as well, because it all helps. If you're watching on Twitter, come and join us on YouTube next time. Don't be shy. Get involved in the comment section. I know there's more people there. Don't do this to me. Don't be shy. Russ is here. He's very friendly. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.